Okay, today we're going to be talking about kites. And a kite, it is a quadrilateral, so we have four sides, but everything about a parallelogram, rectangle, square, rhombus, trapezoid, those don't necessarily play into kites. There's only a couple of properties that you need to think about. So a kite, it is a quadrilateral with two pairs of congruent sides, but the congruent sides are next to each other, not opposite each other. So there we go on that. And then we have the diagonals are perpendicular. So here's a diagonal, and here's a diagonal, and they meet at 90-degree angles on that. All right, let's see what we got. So before we begin the problem today, we need to know or remember what the Pythagorean theorem is. And you use the Pythagorean theorem on right triangles. Okay? And you're talking about sides on the right triangle. So we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We're going to be using this on some of these problems, so get ready on it. Okay, so quadrilateral, it's a kite. What is the measure of y? Okay, so if it's a quadrilateral, all four angles add up to be 360. Every quadrilateral, doesn't matter if it's a special quadrilateral or just a yucky quadrilateral. The angles add up to be 360. Now, if you have a kite, you're going to have one pair of congruent angles. And those congruent angles are going to be between the non-congruent sides. Okay? I'm making it way harder than what it is. So what you're going to do when you're looking for one of those angles, we're going to add what we know. We're going to take that from 360 because all of them should add up to be 360. So these two angles add up to be 158 because that's what's left. And since they are congruent, we're going to divide by 2 and get 79. Now I'm doing all this in my head or scratching it out and stuff, so I could be wrong on them. So check my work and see if I am. This next one is exactly the same way. We are given the two non-congruent angles, and we want this angle right here. So we're going to add the two angles that we are given. We're going to take that from 360. $162. So these two angles add up to be 162. Since they are congruent, I'm going to divide by 2 and get 81. I'm going to write that a little bit better. 81. Okay, what is PS? So here's PS. It is a kite, so the diagonals meet at 90-degree angles. So this is what I want you to focus on because this is brand new stuff here. 32 is a leg of this green right triangle. 40 is the hypotenuse of this green right triangle. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to be able to find the other leg of the green right triangle. And we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem for that. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. X and 32 are your legs. It doesn't matter which one you put where. So X is going to go in for A, 32 is going to go in for B, and the hypotenuse is always C. I'm going to grab a calculator, and we're going to do 32 squared and get 1024. 40 times 40 is 1600. We're going to subtract 1024 and get 576, I believe. I'm going to try that real quick. Minus the answer. Look at me, I'm so good. And so we need x by itself. X has been squared right now to get 576, so we're going to take the square root of that and the square root of that. The square root of 576 is 24. X is 24, and I named X after PS, so PS is 24 also. You're basically going to do that every single time on these kind of problems. You're going to have to get used to it. We're looking for VW. This is a kite, so there's a right angle, and here's my other two sides. I'm going to name that X again. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. X squared plus 16 squared equals 20 squared. X squared, I think that's 196 or 256. Look at me, I'm not so good anymore now. 256, and that's 400. Subtract. X squared equals 144. We take the square root, and you get 12. I did the same steps on both of these. I squared everything. I subtracted leg from hypotenuse. I square rooted the answer. It's basically what you're going to do when you're looking for a leg. You're going to do the same thing if you're looking for the hypotenuse, except for one step. And we may or may not have to do that. I honestly do not remember. Yeah, on these other two, we're doing the same things, okay? So we're going to square, subtract, square root. Those are the three things every single time to be able to get this leg part of it. Now we may have to do something else afterwards. We just have to make sure that we know what the question is. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. X squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. X squared plus 64 equals 100. Subtract 64. You get 36. You take the square root of 36 and get 6. X is 6, which means QU is 6, which means QU is 6. Question. Okay, and we're looking for AB. So X squared plus 48 squared equals 73 squared. I don't have a clue squared. So 48 squared is 2304. 73 squared, 5329. We're going to subtract. $30.25. We're going to take the square root of $30.25 and get 55. So what is 55? AB is 55, and that is what we're looking for.